Can't fit in the shop with this. Part of the reason I think dads are out of shape is that they don't know how to cook, or they leave it to someone else. Which isn't really an issue, but if you want to grab health by the balls, it might just be a good idea to get good at cooking and get shopping, you lazy fucker. And some of you dads out there use your kids as an excuse not to either. And I've seen and met some of you out there before. It's funny because shopping's the best part of my week. Ironically, it's the worst part of other people's weeks. So I've been told. My father-in-law absolutely hates it, but you don't have to live it like me. Maybe just at least tolerate it, as it is the biggest influence on you getting in better shape. Anyway, how do we get better at it? Well, that's why I'm here, my friend. Chef James at your service. I'm not a chef, by the way. In fact, on top of the groundskeeper Willie comment that I got the other day, I used to get told when I was younger that I looked like the chef out of Ratatouille. Don't know if you can see it. Anyway, I think I'm going to dip into the cooking side of content soon, so watch this space. I can confidently say since I was about 20, I've probably cooked about 95% of my meals. And that's no humble brag. It's maybe borderline sad. Is it fuck sad, actually? Cooking's the best, as well as shopping for food. I genuinely love cooking, even though I'm not actually sure if I'm any good at it. You really go down on my level of respect if I find out you don't cook regularly, because what the fuck are you doing for dinner? My wife and I have just invested 40 grand in a kitchen, which is mental, but it's now a more sociable space to cook, to have family and friends over. I'm not really sure where this love came from either. I think I quickly realised that if I wanted to feel good, it's quite important what you put in your body. I actually think the cooking came from my brother. When he was coach years ago, I just started copying him and his meals. So him and I would stand at the kitchen hob at 5 in the morning with our hoods up, standing next to each other, cooking beef and rice, not saying a fucking word to each other. Good times. I think that's why I've never really taken to microwave meals or anything like that. I'm always wondering, surely I can make a better version of this by myself. I don't turn my nose away at them. I'll obviously eat them, I just tend not to buy them myself. And then I also quickly realised when I was an apprentice, it's cheaper to make your own meals than buy all that pre-packaged microwavable stuff. After learning the basics, I dipped into making recipes from books like Gordon Ramsay, then wondered, does this actually taste like what he cooks? Very unlikely. And I also ended up with a fuckload of ingredients I will never ever use again, like fish paste and all that sort of shit. And then what I did is I 180 and just started making basic stuff, because I couldn't be bothered anymore with all the bits and pieces needed to make fancy meals. I was also cooking for myself, which was kind of sad. And that's the biggest thing I've changed after having a kid. I've just stuck to the basics and stayed there, because my kid does not give a fuck about a Gordon Ramsay beef lettuce wrap or a wrap bowl that she could physically eat the bowl after I've made it. She just wants pasta and toast and normal wraps. So that's what we eat. And they're all actually amazingly tasting things to make with minimum fuss. Keeping things basic minimises wasted time and effort in the kitchen when you likely could be doing better things like tidying up or playing with your kids. What I'm actually trying to do here is get you away from temptations of buying and eating out regularly and making better stuff at home. And I know eating out is constantly tempting with the cost of it, but you could be putting better stuff in your mouth, like boobies. It is a hard thing to justify and overcome though. Last week I was at a Toby Carvery for £14, which is a ton of meat and unlimited vegetables on the side. If you want to see people eat an impressive amount of food, go there for fuck's sake. It is incredible. So I can totally see why people go and eat out all the time, but it's likely not doing their body any favour. There's another way of putting this either. The impressive amounts of food people were putting away at the Carvery were all, unfortunately, fat fuckers. But I'll try my best to get you eating better, friend. It might blow your mind as well to find out these tips aren't much different from a person without kids as well, but I am targeting dads here. So the first one, make it easy for yourself. Such an easy one to start off with. And they do get better, I promise. Nobody in a tips video is going to say, go and please make it hard for yourself, are they? But if you find any kind of cooking hard, I'd stop what you're doing and go even further back into basics, unless you're honestly trying to challenge yourself. I've done that once actually recently, cooking 3 roasts for Christmas dinner and having to finish them all at the exact same time. I did get there in the end. Maybe you don't try that though. But things like wraps, pasta, bread, vegetables, buns, baguettes, potatoes, naan breads. There's like 10 things I've just mentioned, and then you could make 100 meals using all of the above with different variety. A way to make this easier is cooking in bulk. Throw a bunch of stuff in a slow cooker and it's ready when you come home or in the morning. Portion it up, freeze it, take it out when you need it. I slow cook 2 kilograms of chicken and put it in the fridge for a week. So that means there's then 500 grams of protein at my disposal, as and when I need it. And then I'll throw in some spice packet like Old El Paso seasoning just for flavour. Buy a big tub of mince, portion it out into burgers and then freeze them. Or just throw a bunch of meat and veg in the oven if you've not got a slow cook. There are a billion recipes online, all centred around being healthy. There's now that many you can choose based on your diet and preferences or food choices. There are also websites that actually make random meal plans for you, and then they print off a shopping list for you. Another reason why I think people don't stick to cooking their own food is they just don't plan ahead. If you make your lunches a few days in advance, the decision is already made for you technically. Whereas if you go to a shop that's likely designed for you to spend as much money as possible with little regard to what you actually want to achieve and make it look like you're getting a bargain, You could spend a tenner on 1,500 calories and not even realise it. A guy I used to work with spent £10 a day on his lunch, which was 50 quid a week. I could probably make my lunch for the whole week for £10. It would probably be boring, but it would do the job. What you could do is you could sit on a Sunday and ask everyone in your family, what do you want for dinner over the next 7 days? Then you would build recipes around that. If they say burgers, but you want to save a bit of calories, you could then give them a chicken breast burger. Because kids can be stupid at times. Everyone loves when something's cheaper. Don't be a scrimpy bastard here and buy the cheapest, nastiest ingredients like luncheon meat. Basically stuff you wouldn't even feed your dog. Buying cheap ingredients will likely show them what you make. When it comes to making food, you're technically investing in your future health. So just make sure what you buy is fresh, like meat and fruit and veg. Next one is protein. I might butcher his name here, but Fuad Abiyad, I think, is a former bodybuilder who created brilliant videos on making basic nutritious foods to fuel performance. I feel like I read he was a chef, but that could be bullshit. Anyway, one of the points I've never forgotten from one of his videos is if you can cook a chicken breast 8 different ways, you're a pretty decent cook. So think what you can do with a chicken, like pan fry, roast, grill, slow cook, boil, deep fry, bake, sous vide. I think you can sous vide anyway. There aren't much difference between some of them. You have decent amount of variety there to make a chicken breast stretch out with different meals. I'm just a slow cooker man myself. And despite me saying in previous videos and posting things like, you don't have to eat like a bodybuilder, that is kind of true, but when it comes to cooking, they spend a fuckload of time doing it and they eat meals to get the best out of their workouts. And that's something you should be thinking about too. You don't have to spend a ton of time in the kitchen to make decent meals. It's actually in a bodybuilder's best interest to cook basic food that's not time consuming because they get bored as fuck standing in the kitchen all day cooking and have better things to do. With a kid, you'll likely not get the time you want in the kitchen either because you've got little shit to run after and watch. It's also heartbreaking to make something that they don't eat. All of that time and effort for nothing, for them to just then want plain pasta. Your cooking maybe shouldn't be as boring, bland and as basic as bodybuilders. If you're not training to stand almost naked on a stage in a G-string. Unless you're into that kind of cooking and taste. I think people actually like to think they're bodybuilders by eating like this. Do you mind when people used to eat tins of tuna at lunch? Mental. Personally, I think it should be a bit more exciting than that. Especially if there's a kid and a partner you're cooking for, which dads usually are. I doubt they're going to be buzzing with fish, rice and asparagus every night, would they? You could bulk order your meat, lol, from Grindr. Joking. From the likes of Muscle Food or Meat Man. If you bulk order your meat, you basically have the main part of each meal ready. You also get variety in these boxes and you can also pay it off over time if you want. Then you're just left with making some pasta, potatoes or chips for example, and then adding a sauce. You can't obviously use local butchers who deliver at your door like the Meat Man, but some carnivore dieters use them, so you don't want to be associated with them. But Muscle Food is the most common one. Freeze your meat also to preserve it for longer. Also buy things like frozen fruit and veg to help you. This is great for people who buy fresh stuff, but it always goes off and then you have to bin it. The biggest issue with this is texture, but it's not a massive hurdle to overcome. Top tip here as well, if you buy fresh spinach and then freeze it, it won't go that disgusting wilted way in the bag and you can crush it into tiny bits so you don't even notice it when it's in your food. You can thank me later. Next one is ordering food in. I used to be against ordering food because I used to think it was lazy, but not everyone has a spare time and people can justify the spending. So if you feel ordering food from Meal Prep Kitchen, for example, is going to help you out a few nights of the week and it replaces eating out and takeaways, by all means. Nothing should be off the table in pursuit of better health, my friend. I think part of the reason why people don't cook or don't know how to cook is they lack inspiration. All you need to do is go on websites such as Meal Prep Kitchen and get inspiration from the kinds of meals they make and try to replicate them at home. If those kinds of websites are making food and boxing it up and then sending it to you, you can make it at home. But also have a bit of fun with it rather than sticking to the typical chicken, rice and vegetable combination that's associated with healthy eating. Or you could just use Google and YouTube. So what you could do is you could learn how to cook. It all started somewhere. Olympic gold medalists were all one shit at the thing they won gold at. Same goes for Gordon Ramsay with his cooking. He was shit at it once. I was shit at making YouTube videos once. You've got the best learning tool using video and YouTube or recipes on Google to help you learn how to cook. Or you could just use me if you wanted something a bit more personal. Or another coach. I'm kind of obsessed with kitchen appliances. They just make things so much easier. I've got a King Pro which apparently cooks 24 ways, which I think is ridiculous. And arguably a lie. There are settings on there that I've never used before like jam or rice pudding. But it's handy and convenient for variety. And to be honest, I just use it for slow cooking. It's self-contained, which is handy when you have a vegetarian life. Make sure to include your family, because you're going to create issues if you start cooking for yourself and not including them. You're also going to create issues if you only cook chicken, rice and broccoli every night and expect your family to eat that. You also deserve to have that thrown in your face if that's all you can come up with. So you need to find a middle ground. Long gone are the days you can eat the same thing for 60 days straight when you lived yourself. Parents, I think, massively underappreciate how important it is to have their kid see what they eat at meal times, because that will influence them. If they see you acting like a little bitch around asparagus, they are likely going to do the same. Making nutritious meals to help you enjoy a healthy life should be something you should enjoy, and it should excite you. Cooking is one of the best skills you can ever learn. A class meal could be the difference between your date staying over or them going home, or more simply getting your hole. Cooking your own meals 100% tastes better than anything store-bought. The feeling and appreciation you get from home-cooked meals is something you can't replicate. Don't make out cooking as hard, people, when all that it really is you're just fucking lazy. Now you must be thinking, James, what an incredible informative video you just gave me. Talking to dads who are struggling. Where can I get more of this? Well, click somewhere here. And in this video, I will explain to you some of the dark sides of losing weight and how to mitigate them. And I hope this helps, and I'll see you in the next video.